Good morning, you tubadors and you tubians. I've literally been up 20 minutes. Took Rooster out, and here I am. Kind of slept in this morning till about 7:30. Wow. Not much went on yesterday. Just did the morning coffee. Kind of went a little long on that, and then I had to go to town, so I uploaded it a little bit. Went to town. When I go to town, I got to take my phone with me, and that's what I use to upload with. So I had to unhook it, stop the download, pause the download, went to town, got a few things, came back and started to upload again, and it just took a while. So I didn't get it out till afternoon. It don't matter. But I wanted to continue on along the same lines of yesterday, that if you are looking for land or looking for an old homestead to fix up, some of the basic things you're going to need immediately. I mean, don't even attempt it unless you have a power source, preferably electricity, maybe a small solar panel, whatever. But you need a basic power source. So you need to look into that. You need to investigate all your electric companies. Find out what deposits cost. If you got unlimited resources, then you don't need to worry about it. Most of the people that are starting homesteads, they don't. They're either selling a property and they have a limited resource, limited amount of funds that they can use, or they're starting with basically nothing. However you want to do it is fine, but there's cost involved. For here to get my power set up, you got to provide your own pole. It has to be 4 feet in the ground. I think it was 12 or 14 feet above the ground. Those cost money. They will supply you with a meter box. Everywhere's different, so I can't speak for wherever you may go. You got to supply your own service panel. That's going to be $150 minimum, depending on what you got. What I did here is we put together, when I say we, and when I bought this, I mean me and my brother. He was helping me in the beginning, and then he met a girlfriend and left. So that's life. But anyway, we put together a service panel. They give you the meter. You got to put all that together. It needs to be ready to mount on the pole, so where when they come out, all they got to do is hook it up. We ran two 110 lines into the house on 10-1 south wire, and on the ends of that had just a four outlet box, and I had two of those. And that's for the first 3 years I had this place. That's all I had in here. I had extension cords going everywhere. But that was fine. That allowed me to have electricity, allowed me to gave me the time to do the proper wiring of the house, which probably 90% done now. So electricity is one thing, however you get it. Generators, if you can tap into the power line, do it, because it's a whole lot cheaper than running generators. Getting fuel for generators, the noise, you got to think about that. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me if you're going to get a place out in the woods and run a generator all the time. What's the point? You might as well live in the city. You want to hear all that noise all the time, unless you can build it underground in a box somewhere where you don't hear it. Another thing you want to consider is sewage. Do you have a septic tank? A lot of times you can buy an old place that has a septic tank. What kind of shape it's in, you're never going to know till you find out, till you start to use it. Fortunately, mine's been in great shape. I do need to get it sucked out because whenever we get a lot of rain, it fills up. It's leaching fine. I can tell it's leaching fine because of the vegetation where the leach lines go. They're all green all the time. It's just full and needs to be sucked out. That's a big expense there. You can build a temporary, or you can build your own septic tank. There's different ways. It depends how many people there are. If you got a family of 10, you're going to need a good one. So and you need a water source. That's something you can transport from. Hey, hey, hey! Oh, the neighbors. See what I mean? That's something you can transport from somewhere else. Rooster, I'm in the middle of a coffee. Nothing I can do about it. But that water, you know, you can get big containers and transport it temporarily while you're building or while you're getting your homestead ready. It's a hassle. So if you do have a readily available well, because drilling a well, you buy a raw piece of land, you got to drill a well, you're talking 10 to 20 grand minimum. Unless you know how to water witch and do it yourself. There's ways you can tap into springs. It just depends what's in the land you get. So even when you're looking at land, that's something you need to consider. Does it have water? Is there water nearby? You know, is there a spring? How am I going to get water? How far do I have to go to get water temporarily? There's just a lot of things you got to consider. Now here, there was a house. Sad a shape it was in, there was a house. It had a well. Everything in the well had to be replaced. That's fine. So me and him replaced everything in the well, the pressure tank, all the pump, everything, and everything was good. And you know, like I say, the septic was fine. The only way I tested that is when we gutted this house, I'd take water and I'd go down in where the drain in the kitchen is. I'd pour it down there. We'd see it pour into the septic. We found it, dug it up, because he was in a motorhome, I was in a fifth wheel. So what we did is we dug up where we could get the lid off, and when we could dump the tanks in the RVs right into the septic. And I did that for a year and a half, and it sucked. But nobody said it's easy. It's not easy. And if you can buy an RV, that buys you a lot of time in fixing up a house. And then if you can't, if you can get the property and maybe stay where you're at, come out, work a little bit on the weekends or during the week, get one room ready. That's all you need. And that's what I did here. I pretty much got, the front living area. I brought a bed in here. Actually, I got it ready, brought a bed in here, and it was just too primitive. I'd be back and forth to the fifth wheel. So I just moved back into the fifth wheel for about another 7-8 months until I got the kitchen going, electric to the stove, things like that. But I did stay in here a little while, and when you're staying in a place, you gather things accumulate and they get in your way. So you're better off just staying in a separate location until you get it ready to move in. Sometimes you can't do that though. So anyway, those are the main 3 things you got to have is water source, sewage, and a power source. However you do, there's many ways to do all of them. But that's something you need long term. You're always going to need it. That's something that it's an expense. There's no such thing as living free. That just doesn't happen. You're going to pay for a power source, unless you get on a Gilligan's Island bicycle, that powers something up. You're not going to live for free, and even that's not free because you're burning your energy. Another thing you need to do is if you're even planning on a place and you're serious about it, if you've got the room, start buying things. Start buying lumber. Hit flea markets. You see a sink or anything you could use, buy it. You can always, if you don't need it, you can always sell it later. It's easy to sell things today. Especially like roofing tin, anything, any kind of materials that will help you build a place or renovate a place. Start screws. Now, that's a big expense right now. Nails, screws, all that. Buy a box a week, box every 2 weeks. so you got a big supply. That way when you start on your project, you don't have to buy those things anymore. And I wasn't able to do that. I was in a sense, I was able to do that. I'd already had a generator. I knew what I was going to do a short time after I got here. I knew what I had to do. And the original plan was I was supposed to go to another piece of land that a friend of mine owned. And I'd even went as far as putting a power pole up out there. And it just, I don't know how it all worked out to where I'm here. So that never took place. I'm drinking a bit of coffee here. But I'd already started gathering things that I could see I could need. Tools. Start getting tools, man. Go to garage sales. Do whatever you got to do. But you can always use tools. All kinds of tools. You know, there's no such thing as having enough tools, because you can't. You need shovels. You're going to need hammers, screwdrivers, you name it. Power tools. You're going to need a lot of power tools. So those are things that you can do. Problem is today versus when I did this, land is being snatched up at an alarming rate. And people are leaving cities. You know, you're not seeing Arkansas people here buying places to homestead. You're not seeing that. They're not doing that. You're seeing out-of-state people come here in droves. I mean, they are snatching up the land. So you're competing with the whole United States and then some. So you need to get, if this is something you're going to do, you want to get into it at a reasonable price, you need to get going on it, because it's going quick. People are fleeing the cities, and they are doing it fast. So, but we'll keep this one short today. It took forever to upload that one yesterday. I didn't mean to make it 20 minutes long. It just didn't seem like I was talking that much. But so anyway, maybe I'll talk a little more on this. I'm no expert on it. It just happened for me, and that's how I did it. And little by little, day by day, you know, you accomplish what you start getting. Your list starts getting smaller. It doesn't never end, but it gets smaller. But if you can get the basic things taken care of, you know, the rest will work out as long as you got time. And I had plenty of time. I worked my butt off when I first got here doing various things, or I wouldn't have what I got, which isn't a lot, but it's mine. So, all right, folks, I'm gonna get this uploaded. I'll try to get out and do something today. And tomorrow I'm heading out to Jeff's. We're gonna finish that well house tomorrow. We have to. It's starting to get cold. There's gonna be a few people coming out there tomorrow, so we're gonna go out there and get that done tomorrow. I'll try to get some of that film. Probably won't film a whole lot because I want to focus on getting it finished. So we'll see what happens. Happy trails, folks.